Slowly kisses passing by the river.
It is not surprising. Xianxia has traveled north and south over the years and has been knowledgeable, but he is not able to identify all the materials in this world. However, since Xianxia bothered him when he was so sensitive, and took out such a piece of ore, its value is definitely not small, and it is very likely to be of great help to him. Otherwise, Xianxia would not do it. Spiritual mind swept across it, and didn't notice the slightest strangeness, as if the ore in front of him was nothing more than an ordinary stone. "Try to pour in Saint Chi," Xianxia said from the side. Xianxia did not hesitate, stretched out his hand to cover the ore. Saint Chi burst out the next moment. His face suddenly changed. He quickly pulled his hand back, and said in shock, "Devouring Saint Chi?" It's not that Xianxia made a fuss, it's that this ore is too weird. With his realm of strength pouring the Saint Chi into it, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, without the slightest reaction, as if the ore was a bottomless pit. No matter how many Saint Chi it could be devoured. He had never encountered such a situation before. This piece of ore is really amazing. What is this? Xianxia looked up and asked. Great Amplifier Divine Stone. Great Amplifier Divine Stone. Xianxia frowned. He had never heard of such a thing. Even Xian, who was standing behind Xianxia, frowned, apparently the first time she had heard of it. What's the magic effect? Didn't you try the magical effect just now? Xianxia smiled lightly. Devouring energy. This is the most important feature of Great Amplifier Divine Stone. It itself is a Void King grade refining material, if you refine it into an artifact. What do you say will happen when you fight with others? Listening to her, Xianxia's eyes lit up. If this is the case, the artifact refined with the Great Amplifier Divine Stone can break all martial skills, because the martial skills are released by the cultivator using the Saint Chi, and this Great Amplifier Divine Stone can devour it. Before the enemy's martial skills able to get close, it will be swallowed up by the artifact. Not bad. It is indeed a good thing. Xianxia nodded repeatedly, and since it is a Void King grade refining material, the refined artifact will also be Void King grade. This grade of artifact is rare on the Shadowed Star. The bone-eroding flame lantern in Xianxia's hand is a Void King grade artifact, with a prominent reputation. After praising it, Xianxia's expression became extremely weird again. But what does this have to do with me? He didn't believe that Xianxia called himself out just to show off such a piece of Void King grade refining material. Xianxia was not boring to such a degree. There must be another meaning. Great Amplifier Divine Stone has nothing to do with you, but the things in it are useful to you. Xianxia laughed inexplicably. There is still something inside? Xianxia looked surprised. Yes, the Great Amplifier Divine Stone is a very special mineral. It can swallow energy. Even the spiritual energy in the heavens and the earth can also be swallowed. This Great Amplifier Divine Stone was given to us from a middle-class family. According to the family's head, the Great Amplifier Divine Stone was obtained from an ancient relic by their family thousands of years ago. From this, it can be calculated that the history of this ore is definitely from a long time ago. Why does a middle-class family give us this kind of thing? Xianxia was even more confused. Isn't it because you said that you want to sell a good number of lots? Now those outside forces have entered the lots in the Emperor Garden in advance to be able to grab them. The battle has been fierce, and we even got a piece of the Emperor Jade. Not to mention other things, this Great Amplifier Divine Stone is the bargaining chip that the family took out. So, it seems that people in that family are not very knowledgeable. Xianxia grinned, gloating on his face. The Void King grade materials are too precious on the Shadowed Star. He took it for granted that if the other party know the goods, they will definitely not be willing to use it as a bargaining chip. You are wrong. Xianxia slowly shook her head. Although the opponent's family is now declining and not too strong, there have been many masters thousands of years ago. They may not recognize Great Amplifier Divine Stone, but they know that it is a Void King grade material. Xianxia frowned and hesitated. Then why? It is precisely because they know that it is the Void King grade material that they can take out the Great Amplifier Divine Stone and want to impress us. You think that if the value is too low, you can grab the few of my high heaven seek lots in the hands of the countless forces of the Shadowed Star? Xianxia smiled. That family has good luck and got a piece of Emperor Jade, but their strongest master is only in the second order Void Return stage, and they want to find the good things on the Emperor Garden, so they can only turn to us for help and enter it in advance. Xianxia nodded lightly, his expression clear. The price of Void King grade materials is indeed not small, but even if it is precious, it is still inferior to the temptation to enter the Emperor Garden in advance, because on the entire Shadowed Star, no one can refine Void King grade materials. The Great Amplifier Divine Stone is only a meaningless existence in that family. Might as well take it out and use it as a bargaining chip for those lots. Their luck was really good. When they met Xianxia, a person who knew the goods, she saw the great value of the Great Amplifier Divine Stone at a glance. Otherwise, it would be a matter of two opinions. From that family, she obtained a large number of Saint Crystals and such a Great Amplifier Divine Stone. The High Heaven sect had reached an agreement to sell a certain lot to the other party. Only when the Emperor Garden was opened, they could enter the High Heaven sect. It was a happy transaction for everyone. What did you mean by saying that the contents are useful to me? Xianxia asked. Even if you don't ask me, I will tell you, otherwise I would not call you out from the retreat. Are you looking for the treasure of the earth attribute? Yes. Xianxia nodded, and suddenly looked happy, looking at her in surprise. Could it be that? Yes. Xianxia pursed her lips. Although the Great Amplifier Divine Stone itself is not of earth attributes, the Great Amplifier Divine Sand contained in it is undoubtedly a treasure of earth attributes, which is enough to meet her requirements. Great Amplifier Divine Sand. Xianxia's eyes lit up. Great Amplifier Divine Stone is devouring the world's spiritual energy all the time. If it lasts long enough, there will be gritty existences inside it. That is the Great Amplifier Divine Sand. As for the Great Amplifier Divine Stone itself, it is of no use to you, but I can use it to refine artifacts. Not bad, not bad. Xianxia grinned, greatly delighted. He is looking for the treasure of the earth attribute, to cultivate the 5 elements indestructible sword body tempering technique. This 5 elements indestructible sword was found in the ancient Yang sect ruins. According to the introduction on the exercise method, if it is cultivated to the extreme, it can lead to the flesh body to be undying and indestructible. Xianxia has been coveting it for a long time. It is a pity that the conditions for cultivating it are extremely harsh. Not only does it have strict requirements for the cultivator's own divine consciousness and physical strength, but also must gather the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth treasures. Among the 5 elements, Xianxia originally possessed thunderwood, the true essence of the sun, the mysterious cloudy sunflower water, and even the 10,000 ice jadesk. Last time at the auction of Treasure Assembly Pavilion, he even got the treasure of gold attribute profound gold. For this reason, he also had a dispute with Xianxia and the old lady Feng, and now there is only a shortage of materials with the earth attribute. If the Great Amplifier Divine Sand is really as Xianxia said, then he can make up the number of the 5 elements, and immediately begin to cultivate the 5 elements indestructible sword. The benefits of having a strong physical body are self-evident, not to mention that it can take advantage when fighting with the enemy, not to say that Xianxia hold the power of space force every time the space is torn apart for thousands of miles away. He must have a strong physical body as a guarantee. Otherwise, just the tearing of the space force can annihilate people. With Xianxia's understanding of the power of space force, his requirements for the physical body will become greater and greater, so when he first saw the 5 elements indestructible sword, he was so excited, he did not hesitate to spend time collecting the materials. Excited for a moment, Xianxia said anxiously, then what are you waiting for? Take out the Great Amplifier Divine Sand quickly. Xianxia couldn't help but scorned him. Do you think it's so easy to take it out? Great Amplifier Divine Stone can devour energy, and I can't refine it with my current methods. Xianxia's expression instantly stiffened, as if being poured with a basin of cold water. The excitement and joy before disappeared immediately. Yang Yan pursed her lips and chuckled. Are you kidding me? Xianxia was furious. Seeing her like this, he didn't know that she had already been confident. If she really couldn't take out Great Amplifier Divine Stone, how could she call him over? I haven't finished speaking yet. Yang Yan looked a little proud, and no longer play anything, with a solemn expression. Yes, it is true that there is no way to refine the Great Amplifier Divine Stone with my methods, and I can take out Great Amplifier Divine Sand from it, but it can. With that said, Yang Yan stretched out her hand to the stone puppet sitting on the table. Xianxia's eyes lit up. The so-called fan of the authorities, he has forgotten that the stone puppet can swallow the mineral essence and purify it. The Great Amplifier Divine Stone is indeed very high grade, but it can't resist the refining and devouring of the stone puppet. After all, even in places like Thousand Imaginary Colored Glass Mountain, stone puppets can come and go freely, so how can a small Great Amplifier Divine Stone be compared to it? But I have to say to you first. Although Great Amplifier Divine Sand will definitely be born in the Great Amplifier Divine Stone, depending on its age, the number of Great Amplifier Divine Sand born is also different. Maybe there are only a few inside such a Great Amplifier Divine Stone. 2 or 3 grains of Great Amplifier Divine Sand can't meet the requirements, and there may be many. It all depends on your choice. That's why I asked Jianyu to call you out. Xianxia's brows frowned. Yang Yan said that, so he naturally understood that the longer the age, the more Great Amplifier Divine Sand would be born in the Great Amplifier Divine Stone. This was a matter of course. After pondering for a moment, Xianxia asked, how long does it take for a grain of sand to be born? The birth of this kind of thing is calculated in units of thousands of years. If you want to wait for a while before taking it, I am afraid it will take a long time. Then there is nothing more to say, take it now. Xianxia's expression became firm, turned to look at the stone puppet, and gave it an instruction in his heart. To be continued.